A search warrant lands 7 people behind bars. What authorities found in this Rochester home.
I'm tracking the potential for some ice late tonight and tomorrow morning. I'll break down the timing for you coming up.
And you want to shut it down. You keep talking about it.
Shutdown showdown. What led to this heated exchange in the Oval Office? Plus, we're giving you the first look inside a building that will be at the center of a major economic development initiative in Rochester. These stories and much more on KIMT News 3, first at 4.
KIMT News 3, coverage you can count on. This is KIMT News 3's First at 4.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Raquel Hellman. First this afternoon, 7 people are behind bars after a drug bust in Rochester. Now, it all started yesterday. KIMT News 3 was on the scene while authorities searched this home on 21st Avenue Northwest because they thought it may be a meth lab. Now, while it didn't turn out to be a lab, what they did find, drug paraphernalia and 80 grams of meth. Now we're learning 7 people have been arrested and they're all facing multiple charges. For a full list of what charges they're each facing, head on over to KIMT.com and look for this story. You'll find it under local news. A car chase spanning 2 North Iowa counties is landing a man behind bars. It all started when a sergeant tried to stop a truck near where the Avenue of the Saints intersects with Interstate 35 in Cerro Gordo County. That pursuit continued for about 25 miles until stop sticks were used to stop the truck in Worth County. Authorities say this man, 29-year-old Adam Collings, was driving the truck. He is facing several charges, including eluding and theft. It is a cloudy but quiet day across the area, but our KIMT Storm Team 3 meteorologists are tracking a system that could cause some slick conditions for your commute tomorrow morning. Let's check in now with meteorologist Brandon Libby for the details. Brandon, what can we expect?
Thank you, Raquel. We've had some weird weather lately with the freezing fog the past couple of mornings, and now we're tracking another round of wintry mix late tonight going into tomorrow morning. I'll have more on that coming up a little later, but first let's focus on this evening. Live eyes in the sky showing that cloud cover has returned. We had some sunshine earlier this afternoon and in the late morning, but now that cloud cover has taken over. Here's Storm Tracker 3 Doppler radar. We are dry at the moment, just sitting under that cloud cover, which we will not be escaping for the next couple of days. Zooming the radar out, here is that wintry mix. It's on the way. It's currently in the Dakotas. And what's interesting is that temperatures are going to be well below freezing for tonight, but we are still going to see a little bit of freezing drizzle. Temperatures right now in the lower to mid 20s, 23 in Rochester, 25 in Austin, a nice 30 degrees in Forest City. If you're going to be heading out the door for the next few hours, maybe you're heading back home from work, temperatures will be bouncing around a couple of degrees over the next 6 hours or so, basically in the middle 20s. But that wintry mix is on the way for tonight. I'll break down the timing for you coming up in just about 10 minutes. Raquel?
All right, we will see you then. Thank you, Brandon. An Albert Lee woman is recovering today after she was hit by a car last night. It happened just after 8:30 at the intersection of Bridge Avenue and Sheridan Street. Police say the 79-year-old was crossing Bridge when she was hit by a car driven by an 18-year-old. Now, the woman is expected to be okay. The crash remains under investigation, but police say drugs or alcohol do not appear to be involved. And happening tonight, an open house about a plan to improve that same road where that crash happened. Freeborn County and the city of Albert Lee are proposing to reconstruct Bridge Avenue between Marshall Street and Hammer Road. That is the part you see in red on your screen right now. Construction is set to begin in 2020, but plans are already in the works. An open house is being held tonight where you can see initial concept drawings of the proposal. Starts in less than an hour at 5 o'clock and goes until 7 at Albert Lee City Hall. Tense moments at the White House this afternoon over the budget and border security. As Steve Nannis shows us, it was an Oval Office discussion that turned into a heated debate, all while the cameras were rolling.
A stunning showdown in the Oval Office.
I am proud to shut down the government for border security.
As President Donald Trump and Democratic leaders Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer appear to be at a stalemate over a spending bill, setting up a potential shutdown next week.
The one thing I think we can agree on is we shouldn't shut down the government over a dispute. And you want to shut it down. You keep talking about
The
it.
last time, Chuck, you shut it down.
No.
At issue, how much money will be allocated for President Trump's border wall? The president wants $5 billion.
This isn't a question. This is a national emergency.
A majority of senators are willing to put up $1.6 billion.
There are no votes in the House, a majority of votes, for a wall, no matter where you start.
Both sides indicate they are unwilling to budge. Pelosi, the likely incoming speaker, emboldened by big gains in the midterms, challenged the president to move forward right now.
Let me just say one thing. The fact is, you do not have the votes in the House.
Nancy, I do. And we need border security. Nancy, Nancy, we need border security. It's very simple.
But Republican leaders don't yet have the support for Trump's plan, and it's unlikely the president will find a willing partner in Pelosi or Schumer.
This temper tantrum that he seems to throw will not get him his wall, and it'll hurt a lot of people because he will cause a shutdown.
The deadline for reaching a deal is December 21st. In Washington, I'm Steve Nannis.
Let us have a conversation.
It is the plan to make Rochester the global destination for health and wellness, Destination Medical Center. Now, one part of the plan is called Discovery Square. It's a 16-block sub-district designed to be a hub for science and research. KIMT News 3's Kaylin Thompson is getting a sneak peek of Discovery Square's very first building. She joins us live in our Rochester studio with a look at it. Kaylin?
Raquel, it's hard to believe the groundbreaking of Discovery Square was just a little over a year ago. But those with DMC refer to Discovery Square as the economic engine of the downtown Rochester area. Take a look at the first building of the district. It's called the One Discovery Square building, and it stands 4 floors tall. Community leaders got a look on the inside of the $23 million building. Each floor will be used by different entities like Mayo Clinic, University of Minnesota Rochester, and other partner companies.
Discovery Square is for this community. Oftentimes people think it's just medical or it's just science or bioscience, life science. There's really something in Discovery Square for everyone.
Coming up on KIMT News 3 at 5, hear just how Discovery Square will benefit the community as part of DMC. Reporting in the Rochester studio, Kaylin Thompson, KIMT News 3.
All right, Kaylin, thank you very much. And the two other major priorities of DMC are the heart of the city and transportation. Next on KIMT News 3 first at 4, how you can safely get rid of your old Christmas lights. Plus, an alarming new study about breast cancer. Why nearly half of women who are at a higher risk for the disease may not be getting tested.
You're watching KIMT News 3, first at 4. KIMT News 3, coverage you can count on.
1 in 8 women will get breast cancer at some point in her life. Chances are you know someone who has been impacted by the disease. Now let's take a look at these estimates from the American Cancer Society for 2018. This year, there was more than 266,000 new cases of invasive breast cancer and nearly 64,000 new cases of non-invasive breast cancer. And by the end of this year, nearly 41,000 women will have died from the disease. And now, an alarming new study finds current breast cancer guidelines are out of date. And as Andy Rose shows us, it's putting women at risk.
Current guidelines for genetic testing of breast cancer are out of date and limit the number of women who can get tested. That's according to a new study in the Journal of Clinical Oncology. A co-author of the study says insurance companies use those guidelines when deciding when to pay for testing. The result, nearly half of women with breast cancer-linked genetic defects could go untested. The National Comprehensive Cancer Network established the guidelines about 20 years ago. In that time, scientists have discovered several mutations and genetic variants linked to the disease. The test has also become easier to do and a lot cheaper. While the guidelines also evolved, the co-author of the study says they, quote, got incredibly complicated and unusable. Approximately 330,000 patients are diagnosed with breast cancer every year in the United States. Of these cases, an estimated 10% are likely due to hereditary causes. For today's Health Minute, I'm Andy Rose.
As you break out your old Christmas lights, or maybe you're buying new ones, Rochester Public Utilities wants to remind you that they have a place for your unwanted string lights. Since 2011, RPU has recycled more than 14,000 pounds of Christmas lights, and they hope to keep that momentum going. So here's how it works. You can bring your lights in and drop them off in any of the bins that you're seeing right here. Then they're transferred to other larger bins where Watson Recycling comes and picks them up. It's become a holiday tradition that those at RPU actually look forward to.
But it's always fun to see the lighting that's, 20, 30 years old that people, have probably had stored forever and forgot about, and they bring it in and recycle it. And those can be easily recycled just like the light strands from just 5 years ago.
Another way you can keep this Christmas green is by buying energy efficient holiday lights or decorations. RPU does offer a rebate for those who do so. Well, it's the time of year when we all need a really warm winter coat, and there are a lot of options out there.
When you're trying to keep warm, you're really trying to keep the warm air that your body is producing from escaping.
We'll take you inside the Wearable Technology Lab at the University of Minnesota and show you how to choose a coat that will keep you very warm. That's next.
A wintry mix returns to the forecast for tonight. I'll show you Sky Tracker 3 and when it moves in coming up next.
We track storms to alert you first. This is KIMT Storm Team 3, weather coverage you can count on.
We had sunshine earlier today. That is no longer the case as we look at the Albert Lee Live Eye. We also have lost that rimed ice on the trees. It was very beautiful on the Albert Lee Live Eye yesterday, but unfortunately that's no longer the case at this time. Here's a Mason City Live Eye. Doesn't matter where you are, we're still seeing that cloud cover, but nothing coming out of those clouds right now. It is very dry across the viewing area. Here's Storm Tracker 3 Doppler radar. Again, we had sunshine earlier on today, but the clouds quickly took over in the afternoon. Everybody seeing that cloud cover at the moment. You'll see a few specks popping up, but likely not making it to the ground right now. As I said, we are dry. We do have some warmer air trying to nudge into North Iowa, upper 20s, even lower 30s in Forest City, otherwise 29 in Mason City. We'll call it the middle 20s across southern Minnesota with 23 degrees in Rochester. Now we do have our next system on the way. Low pressure system currently out to our west, and we have a kind of a stationary boundary draped across North Iowa. You can see the activity just off to the northwest part of the system, and this will all be slowly moving off to the east for tonight, bringing us that chance for a wintry mix in the overnight hours going into tomorrow morning. So let's time it out for you. Here's Sky Tracker 3. You're also seeing the temperatures on here, and you'll notice that they are going to be below freezing. However, we still have the chance for a wintry mix for tonight. Here's what I mean. We'll see the cloud cover continuing into this evening, but staying dry. It won't be until after midnight that we start to see that wintry mix getting close to the viewing area. And we're going to see it mainly very isolated for tonight. This is 4 a.m. for the northern and eastern portion of the viewing area. Temperature is still in the middle 20s, but we have a lot of liquid clouds up above, which means we could see a freezing drizzle, maybe some snow mixing into things getting into tomorrow morning. But again, mainly the eastern side of the viewing area, seeing that freezing drizzle and potentially some snowflakes. This continues all the way into 7 a.m., 9 a.m. even. We could be seeing that wrapping up as it does slowly move off to the east. 10 a.m. I think we finally get it all out of the viewing area. So mainly the eastern side of the viewing area will be under the gun for that wintry mix for tonight and tomorrow morning. But then after that, looking at the cloud cover dispersing maybe a little bit for the afternoon and evening, getting dry slotted here. So you see the clouds kind of going away, but it won't last very long because clouds do return going into tomorrow night and into Thursday morning. Now, in terms of where that wintry mix will be the most effective in terms of making the roads very slippery, it will be off to the east. Winter weather advisory in the purple there does not include any portion of the viewing area. However, we could still see some slick spots going into tomorrow morning, again, mainly off to the east. So freezing drizzle will pick up gradually for tonight, starting very early 2 a.m. We'll see less than isolated, so very, very spotty at that point. But then by 4 a.m. going into about 6 a.m., that's when it will become isolated across the viewing area. We do have that for Wednesday morning. Wednesday night we stay dry, and then Thursday afternoon and evening we have another chance at seeing a wintry mix. So kind of active the next couple of days. Otherwise, overnight temperatures falling to the lower 20s. We'll see northwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour for tomorrow. Highs looking to be in the middle to upper 20s with mostly cloudy skies going into the afternoon. And then for tomorrow night, looking at lows in the lower 20s with mostly cloudy skies. Your first at 4 forecast. It's a tale of two halves next couple of days. That wintry mix for tomorrow, it's going to be in the morning. For Thursday, it's in the afternoon. But then sunshine for Friday and Saturday. Looking at high temperatures warming up even a little bit, back to the lower to mid 30s. That'll feel really nice.
Yeah, look at that week. That looks really nice.
And that will be above average. Average is about 28 degrees for this time of the year.
We will take it.
Yes, we will.
All right, thank you, Brandon. Yeah, our forecast for this week, it looks pretty good, but no doubt there will be plenty of snow, wind, and even bitter cold in store for us still to come this season. So it's important to find that perfect winter coat. But before you spend a ton of money on a coat for yourself or maybe as a gift for someone else, Liz Collin is going inside a St. Paul lab to find out what really works to keep you warm.
We're trying to figure out how much heat we need to supply to your body for your fingertips to stay warm.
A countertop tucked in the back of the University of Minnesota's Wearable Technology Lab holds a few wires and special stitching.
It's actually using the current running through the conductor thread to generate heat.
And perhaps the secret to staying warm through our long winters.
When you're trying to keep warm, you're really trying to keep the warm air that your body is producing from escaping.
Professor of Apparel Design Lucy Dunn is in the first of a 3-year research project to create what's called a personal microclimate, delivering heat to our bodies to keep us comfortable no matter the conditions. Minus all the cords, Dunn gives us a rundown of what works and what doesn't in a crowded market of winter coats.
While it is important that you have an insulating material, it's more important that the design of the garment different is also keeping your body heat in.
Dunn says we should first focus on layers and edges. Look for elasticized cuffs, drawstrings, fuzzy or fur edges. Anything that keeps material closer to your body to block drafts.
It actually looks like it's pretty insulated. It's a warm coat?
Yeah, it's not too bad.
On a 20-degree day with infrared camera in hand,
you need a scarf by the looks of this thing.
We set out on campus to see what coats and jackets do a good job of keeping folks warm.
Can we test your coats really quick?
Some materials tested better than others.
It's from Old Navy. I got it on sale.
But it does look like your arms are your arms a little colder?
Yeah.
Yellow shows what's cool.
Your bright yellow on your neck.
The darker shades are what you want.
I got it this year. Okay. It was pretty new.
This Columbia coat did well. But look at the difference zipping it up makes.
Feels good. I'm cozy.
On my Facebook page, friends suggested brands from Carhartt to North Face. Well, Heather Brown and I prefer full-on sleeping bags this time of year.
A stylish sleeping bag. It's all about balancing the aesthetic and the thermal comfort.
And to our surprise, thermal comfort isn't as costly as you might expect. Dunn suggests giving that $90 coat a second look before spending $950.
You can trap air very cheaply, or you can trap it in really expensive ways. But in the end, it's really just insulation. You probably won't feel a really big difference.
Dunn believes down is a good insulator and says it doesn't have to be the real thing to work.
Practically speaking, you probably won't feel the difference. If you pack it down, you make it less insulating than if it has more loft.
Wool also ranks high on her list in a wet snow scenario. It can absorb about half of its weight in water without feeling wet.
We put people in cold rooms and see how comfortable they are.
Back to that personal microclimate project where there's a big goal, designing clothes that let us turn the heat down.
We're heating all these rooms that we don't use, and if we can make you feel as comfortable in a colder room, then all that unused heating, we have a huge energy savings.
Technology that could one day make the choice for a winter coat even easier.
It's fascinating. That was Liz Collin reporting. Next on KIMT News 3 First at 4, we'll show you who is Time Magazine Person of the Year. Plus, Google CEO grilled by lawmakers. What he has to say about your data privacy. Time Magazine has chosen its 2018 Person of the Year, the Guardians and the War on Truth. The Guardians are a group of journalists who have been in the news this year. These are the 4 different magazine covers. They include Jamal Khashoggi, the Washington Post contributor who was killed at the Saudi Arabian consulate in Istanbul. He is the first deceased person ever selected for the honor by Time. Also featured on a cover are the journalists at the Capital Gazette. A gunman murdered 5 employees of the Maryland newspaper back in June. The third cover shows Maria Ressa, the CEO of a Philippines news website. The Philippines indicted her last month on tax evasion charges. The final cover that you see right here features the wives of 2 journalists who are in jail for reporting on Muslim killings in Myanmar late last year. Data privacy, political bias, all major issues the CEO of Google is being grilled on today by lawmakers on Capitol Hill. Kristen Holmes has the details from Washington.
Google CEO Sundar Pichai in the hot seat,
to substantiate those
testifying
claims.
on Capitol Hill in front of the House Judiciary Committee Tuesday, stressing that the search giant is politically neutral.
I lead this company without political bias and work to ensure that our products continue to operate that way. To do otherwise would be against our core principles and our business interests.
After allegations from some Republicans, including President Trump, that the company suppresses conservative voices.
You've heard the allegation that there's a bias in favor of liberal or progressive points of view.
And I can assure you, we do it without regards to political ideology. Our algorithms have no notion of political sentiment.
And fielding questions on consumer privacy.
With Americans carrying their phones with them virtually at all times, doesn't the collection of this volume of detailed information really mean that Google is compiling information about virtually every movement an individual with a smartphone is making every hour of every day?
For any service we provide our users, we go to great lengths to protect their privacy, and we give them transparency, choice, and control.
Google has 8 different platforms, each with more than 1 billion monthly users. Monday, the tech giant announcing a security breach in one of them. It's Google Plus social network, which exposed the personal information of more than 52 million users. Kristen Holmes, KIMT News 3.
Up next on First at 4, Storm Team 3 meteorologist Brandon Libby will have a look at our forecast. And we'll show you what we're working on for KIMT News 3 at 5.
Looks like we'll see the return of a wintry mix for tonight. That's going to be in the form of freezing drizzle and then perhaps later on some light snowflakes. But in terms of your morning commute for tomorrow, do watch out for some slick spots, especially if you're in southern Minnesota and in the eastern portion of the viewing area. So Rochester, Charles City included in there, Preston as well, because we may see a glaze of ice with this freezing drizzle. It will all come to an end by about 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So then after that, we'll look at mostly cloudy skies, highs in the upper 20s. We do see another round of wintry mix for Thursday afternoon. And then for Friday and Saturday, looking at plenty of sunshine, warmer temperatures as well, with highs back to the lower to mid 30s. So not looking too bad.
Not at all. Thank you very much, Brandon. And here's a look at what we're working on for KIMT News 3 at 5. We continue our coverage of the North Iowa Smile Transformation. A Lake Mills woman who's faced a lot of difficulties in her life is getting a $50,000 dental makeover for free. We're there today for the next step in her transformation. Plus, when you think of people who struggle with hunger, college students probably aren't the first group that comes to mind. But many undergrads don't always have enough to eat, so we'll show you what's being done in our area to make sure local students have food on the table. Thanks so much for joining us for First at 4. Jeopardy is next, and then we'll see you back here in a half an hour for KIMT News 3 at 5.